This is Off Track.
Hi, guys. It's Alex. Tony's not, well, there you go. I just I ruined it. James is not here. But funny story, before we introduce Tony Kanaan, he came up to Tim and I on the grid in Nashville. We haven't talked about Nashville on the show yet, but I'll give you a little preview of Nashville. And he was like, what does it take for a guy to get on this show? And Tim was like, I'm pretty sure you've been on it. And I was like, I don't know, maybe. I think you have, but and Tony was confident. He's like, no, I haven't. I want to be on. Well, Tim goes back and looks at the records and is like, yeah, Tony's been on 3 times. And it's always been super good. But anyways, Tony Kanaan on the show for the first time as team principal of Arrow McLaren. So thanks for being here.
You're welcome. But see, then I'm right. It's been more than a year, so that then doesn't count. But yeah, yes. I totally did not remember. But honestly, yeah, thanks for having me on,
dude. Yeah,
and you know, this is what people do for free. So when you give, I gave Tim and you a hard time, and basically just Alex, I think thinks I was sitting on the beach today having a margarita or like, and then he texts me like in the middle of the day, like, can you do it in 20 minutes? I'm like, sure. As I asked, I have to.
Yes. Well,
that's funny to me because he said he was going to text you yesterday. So that means like he had the idea. He was like, I'll just put it off. I'll text him later.
He knows me. He just bosses me around. Like, yeah, Tim, he didn't because like, I'm not texting him. I said, I need you in 20 minutes. I said, okay, I'm ready.
And look at that. What a guy.
What a guy. Even branded as Tony usually is. So the first question I want to ask.
I'm at work, Alex. I come to work branded.
No, I know. But, and we're going to get to your evolution through the team. But when you first joined the team, it wasn't obviously in the role that you're in now. But one of the things that is so TK and something that is something that I admire about you is in your role, everything that could be customized to Papaya was customized, from the shoes to the Whoop strap to the AirPods, the AirPod case, the mouse, the computer mouse. Literally everything from like day 3 was Papaya'd. And that is just your commitment to the brand and whatever brand you're representing. That's honestly a part of as to why you've been so successful in so many different facets. So I want to get right into it.
Yeah.
When you did join that role in 2024,
2023, the team principal. No, I joined the team 23. We did a 500, and yes, 23.
But in 23, and you were you were with the team. You were building up to the 500 in May. You were working with NTT. You were working with partners at the track. Did it ever cross your mind that 18 months later you would be running the operation?
No, not at all. I mean, that was never my intention, because obviously you were part of it. I was looking and I remember because for the first time in my life, I didn't have a plan, Alex. People kept asking me, what are you going to do after you retire? I said, I have no idea. And actually, kind of backfired a little bit because I thought it was going to be the coolest thing that people were going to think was cool. And people kept asking, really? So I started to get concerned myself. I'm like, do I need really to find a job? Is that bad not to know? So my plan was all along, I was going to come to the race weekends, right? That was already agreed when I signed in 23. But that was just obviously after the 500 was 11 or 12 races. So we bought a motorhome, Laura and I, for the first time, I think, enjoying the summer with the kids. And 3 months in, we had some changes and issues in the team, which you were still here, and it started to evolve. And you saw it. That was, obviously, I'm only a year into the team principal. So we're talking about it took actually full 2 years. But by Laguna Seca, Zak came to the race and says, hey, next year I want you to go full-time. And I said, full-time for what? And I said, I don't know what to do. What do you want me to do? Zak says, well, you tell me. And me as a dumb as I am, I wrote a big list to try to impress the boss, right? So I remember sitting here and at the car having breakfast, and I brought him the sheet of paper like full of it. I said, "Here, boss," thinking he was going to pick 2 or 3. He goes, "Okay, done." I'm like, "What do you mean?" "But you said you can do all of it." So I started that. And, I was involved with the team the whole time. You remember that I was here quite a bit. And I spent the whole year just really looking, helping Brian Barner at the time, Gavin, and everyone else. And then I think that's probably was something that if people look back, some people can say, well, you just put it there by Zak to look around and after a year make an assessment, because since we have bought the team, we didn't really replace a lot of people, right? You came on board, you brought Brian, they hired Gavin, but the core of the team was the same. Not at all. Wasn't the intention. But then when that happened, the thing is I knew exactly kind of what to do, and I knew what people they were buying in and people they were not buying in. And that was a very difficult place for me to be, because obviously day one, I had to make some tough decisions. But no, to answer your question, I had zero intentions to do it, but you just mentioned opening the show. If I commit to do something, I am going to do it. If I'm your friend, I'm the most loyal person you're always going to have. But if I'm not, so that's it.
It's I witnessed it, and I can say that it was a truly like a very organic situation. Like it wasn't, you weren't a plant, you weren't some kind of double secret agent sort of thing. Like you did such a good job at one role, right? And then you kind of dipped your toes into a different role, and it continued to grow. And honestly, we've talked about it on this show kind of at length this year, looking back at the year that the team had, the most successful year that they've had in IndyCar. Obviously, you played a big role in that. But before we get there, like you mentioned Zak, let's talk about your relationship with Zak, because I don't think a lot of people realize it goes way back to when Zak was racing, and you guys were actually teammates in Brazil. And there's this photo of you two, and you were teammates at one point.
I mean, that's a long time ago. I think probably you and Tim were not even born. But I mean, we were friends. We raced. We were teammates. I remember that when I was Zak's teammate, I spoke zero. But zero. I don't know that I speak English right now, but zero.
You're like at 50% now, yeah.
Yeah, 35 according to my kids. But thanks for the 50. That's a compliment from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and my dream was always to come to America. And obviously, it was in Europe when we raced. So we've been friends forever, which it's kind of like was also another thing that I had to be careful, right? Because you've seen some interactions. You've seen at my retirement, he's making jokes about me, and some people look at us, do they know each other? Because like Zak, the boss, But yeah, so the relationship there, it's quite close, but at the same time, it had to change a bit when I'm here. We don't use that. Obviously, that is more of there is no like a boss intimidation, or like there is the respect. And I know exactly when we're talking serious, like there are days that we don't joke. There are days that we talk about doing a race together with old cars and stuff. But yeah, it didn't hurt. Obviously that he knows how I am.
Foundation was there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know who he is, like as far as personality and how things are. So I didn't have to learn my boss.
So being as though McLaren is this massive operation, right? Obviously you have the automotive side, but it's really McLaren F1, which Zak is the number one guy. And then there's these branches of the brand, right? Arrow McLaren, I would say, is probably the second most recognizable above any of the sports car stuff and that sort of thing. So explain to me what it's like being a team principal for a brand of that caliber, but also being a team principal of a brand of that caliber as your first time, right? You didn't have the advantage of some of these other people that have worked their way up through the ranks. I'm not going to name names, but they start in the team manager role, right? And then they kind of are an apprentice below the big boss for a little bit, and then they get promoted, right? So they get to see the inner workings of a team and how the organization is run. You have seen various sides of it, but but really only through the eyes of a driver. So what is that transition like to now be on the flip side, but also have the pressure of representing one of the biggest brands in motorsports?
I mean, to be fair, Alex, you remember since I had my run after I left Andretti, I kind of decided back then that I wanted to be able to control my own destiny in racing, right? And that led me to the sponsorship side, get involved. And you saw how long of relationships I had with sponsors that follow me through every team I've been, including this one. So that gave me a little bit of, on the branding side, you all make fun of me all the time. There is TK everywhere. You just made fun of me. There is McLaren, and McLaren everywhere. So I think I had an idea. Also, but I had to, the weight that it carries when you just add the McLaren name on it, it's not for everyone, I believe. Especially for a rookie, let's call it. But my advantage, and I think that's something that maybe people won't understand, but us race car drivers, I don't think we're going to be able to describe what pressure is. This is pressure, but it's different, right? So that didn't really faze me. I think for the listeners that don't know me well, I don't get intimidated by it. I mean, it's really not, I'm not trying to brag about it. It's just us. We can't. And I think I got conditioned to that doing, my entire life racing. So you act like at the US, there's the good and the bad. You become as selfish, it is what it is. This is who we are. So that wasn't a big deal. I would say it was not a big adjustment. But then you become responsible for 120 people. You become responsible that people that I've known for a long time. We don't need to get into details, but the decisions that I had to make, you and I, the conversations that we had, you're my friend. You are. I mean, and that is, we needed it to separate. We had to make a tough decision, both sides. We had to, that is when it comes that you really want to do this or not? Because you can't make decisions by favoring a friend. Yeah. Right? You got to look for the company. Now it's a big brand. And anything that you do, any move you make, it's going to have a huge consequence, not on me, but on the employees, on the brand. But also, it took me my entire career to make my own brand and my own reputation. And before I was in fully control of it. Now I add another brand that is much bigger.
Yep.
That is not helping or helping control that. Does that make sense?
It does.
So,
but what's harder? What was harder?
For me, is to slow down and knowing that I don't need to make a decision in 3 minutes or 1 hour between sessions. I can sleep on today and change my mind tomorrow as long as I don't, and change it again and put a deadline to that. To me, still, I struggle quite a bit. That's part of my personality regardless, but the response, but those, again, I'm going to go back to, you make a change in the car. If it's not good, it's on me. I got to figure out, I make a change here or not, or I jump the gun here. I'm affecting an entire organization, good or bad, right? So, it's the hardest part was to actually understand the timing, which it's impossible to understand timing. The timing is now, the timing is tomorrow. So to get it, but that I was out of my comfort zone. That I knew in racing, if that doesn't work, I'm gonna do something else, like on the car. Here, I'm still learning. So a lot of people, like obviously, I have Zak, but Zak didn't hire me for me to ask him 10 questions a day.
Right.
And Zak was always, I know the way he works. Zak is like, bring me the problem, but bring me 3 solutions and we'll think about it. So I use a lot of people here that I trust to lean on and ask. I was never afraid to ask. I was never afraid, and I am still not, to things that I don't know. I mean, I got to do a board meeting. I got to do a PowerPoint. I got to write an email. I mean, I don't even know. ChatGPT nowadays is awesome, right? But if I write an email with my report, people are going to go, is he in 5th grade or something? So those kind of things I had to be more mindful. Before you're a driver, you talk the way you want to talk.
Sure.
So it's the timing and really understanding that leaning on the right people and not being afraid to show that some of the weaknesses that you have, but doesn't mean you're not a good leader.
You were one of the most popular drivers, especially in Indianapolis. Like when you take the lead at the 500, it's always a big deal. When you get announced as the driver announcement, it's always a big deal. I know you said you had no plans when you had retired, but was there a bit of you that thought of doing a more like fan forward thing? Like, Hinch went into commentating and things like that. Was that ever?
Tim, people that know me, like you too, you could have said, first thing, you should go, people like you, you're kind of outspoken, but you should go on TV. That was always, somebody always had mentioned that you should go to TV because I guess naturally that's what athletes do when they retire, right? You look at football. And so it did cross my mind. But to be fair, I think that was the time that actually Hinch just had started it. and everybody had told me, but I got 0 phone calls. I mean, I had no plan. I was vocal about having no plan. Nobody considered
you a plan either.
Not at all. So
I think we can blame James on this. Yeah.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like, whoa. I mean, they knew. And everybody was that. So, wow, nobody even, do you want to do an Indy Lights, Indy Next race in the booth? None. No, I mean, it took me a year to get back on your podcast. That means I'm that bad. But yeah, right. I didn't know what to consider. Honestly, I was a little bit concerned because obviously I was not going to starve, but also I'm not the type of person that was going to be
just sitting at home.
Yeah. But Alex is going to make fun of me because we're probably going to need a 3-hour podcast here. But as much as I hate simulators back in the day, that Alex and I had to go pick 2 of them up and put it on a bed of a pickup truck
from a friend's house.
And it started to rain. And then we and I despised that. I actually had started after that a good partnership.
So this was during COVID when you guys stole from George's house, right?
Yes,
correct. And we hated every minute. Alex keeps not liking it, and I fully embedded on developing products. So that was actually probably my safe net there. I knew that I was going to do something, but it was not totally related to IndyCar and then racing.
So I want to talk a little bit about your 2025 and then your 2026. So 2025, Pato is the class champion, we like to call it on here. No one was touching the 10 car for all the reasons that we don't need to get into. Pato had a phenomenal year. Obviously, Christian did a great job. The team as a whole, I think, had the most amount of podiums that they've ever had in a season. That looks pretty good on your resume for year number 1. Was it a surprise to you, or did you think, all right, if we put these pieces together, like everything, we have what it takes. It just is about execution at this point.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna answer with asking you a question. In my book, and then I don't want to sound, and I told that to the team, do you really think we had a good year? Who had a good year was the 10 car, right? We had a very consistent year. I set some goals in the beginning of the year that I think we achieved some of them, but we did not win more races than we did the year before. We won 2. The year before we won 3. Debatable, the Sam Pete one, but a win is a win.
Sure.
Right. But yes, I mean, I set some goals that I've learned the previous year. Obviously, we correct a lot of things, including that involved your crew at the time. That it's always like that, right? It's you get it. Sometimes is the way it is, but so I think we achieved a lot of the goals. Did I expectations, Alex? It's hard in racing. What is an expectation? Because if you're going to base yourself on results only, you're done. You need to go, all right, maybe it didn't, the outcome, like the end result didn't, but did we achieve? Because you never know, somebody's going to hit you. It's going to, the result wise. But yes, I think I've always said that. I said that to the team. I said that outside. I said that to you. I think we had a huge potential, and we have a huge potential. We have a brand. We're very self-financed, self-sufficient. We don't lack sponsorship, which is the most important thing in racing, to keep it. So we have everything. We had everything, but we were not there. And having to single out one problem at a time, as we do as drivers, like priority 1, 2, 3, 4. I was like, I had to pick 3 and then but I wanted to do 15.
Sure.
So it worked. We were going to call luck. If I was competent or not. I mean, I think my ability to put the passion on people, or whatever you want to call, you know how intense I am. You know how I'm here 13 hours a day, right? I think that drove people to elevate as well. It's not pressure, like it's just, I'm here, guys, and we're going to do this.
Leading by example, yeah.
Right. So I think that was a big part of it. Because to be fair, look at the team, we didn't change a lot of people. Now, yes, we're kind of like in the off season, kind of like we're being remodeling a little bit, but it wasn't. I think my idea of, you know, the lineup of the leadership team, I'm talking about the top from engineers to my group here in the office. It's something that I wanted to have, like references that we all had in the past on the teams that are being successful and they're beating us. You need consistency. You can't keep turning around people every year, because I think I got there. But now it's another year. And you know, every year, like it was a big deal. Like you talk about how many people I had to let go last year to kind of change a little bit the culture here. Not that they're bad people at all. But I had to. When I took over, it was 12 people. This year was another 11, and some people left, as you all know. You're always adjusting, right? And you always have to believe in the process. But in racing, like, look, that's the way it goes. And then you go to the first race and you don't do well, you change everybody. You had your best year of your career.
Yeah. No,
so
you're only as good as your last race, man. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned the pressure, how as a driver being in that role, you don't necessarily feel it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Like there's a huge amount of responsibility on your plate. While we have you for a few more minutes, let's go quickly into 2026. Last week we had on our good friend RHR, who is over the moon at the opportunity to get to drive your 4th car at Indy. Walk us through that thought process. Was he always kind of on the short list? Like, how did that come to be?
Look, you know, because you've been here, that 4th car was always a struggle to make it happen, because we were stretched really thin. We had the F1 guys coming to help, blah, blah, blah. But it was always the intention to field a car to win the 500. So Montoya, then you get myself, Larson. So when we were debating, I said, well, what's the angle here? I want to win, right? And let's face it, Christian and Nolan are getting there, but with your departure, I was down to really realistic. I need to be one guy last year. It's the fact. So I said, I need another Rossi here to help out, because, you know, obviously Christian is doing better anyway. And then he is really like, Ryan was, if you look around, it was like the years that I was doing the 500, I was such in a good spot because I was still pretty good, and that was an obvious choice, right? So he was always on my list. But at the time he was still trying to decide on, you know, he had to deal with Giant Rainbow, but the way it worked was I called him, and it's like no different than I would have called you. I said, Ryan, you're my teammate. I know you for 2 decades. We have 3 days to do this, and we're not going to go X and I'm going to go Y. Like, I'm going to tell you, and we need to sign. He's like, that's fine. And I said, it's you and I. And then once we agree, we send to the lawyers because I need to get this done now. Don't ask me why. And he goes, okay. And we got it done in 3 days. And it's funny how it works. You know, he looked at me, he's like, wow. You know Ryan, right? He's like, oh, wow, look at your office. Oh, can I have this chair? I'm like, you're already asking for stuff. And then the funny part was like, hey, you know, if you hadn't treated me nice, now I'm your boss. So it was funny to see.
Can you share? There was a quote from Zach a couple months ago, I want to say, where it was like, if this name works out for the 4th car, can you share who that is or no?
Look, you know Zach.
Yeah.
Zach throw out like every single name. Yeah. Well, he says, can we get Elio? I said, he owns a team like next door. I'm like, no, we can't.
Yeah.
I know he's been thrown out some names out there. He mentioned, Schumacher that he talked about, Valentino, Rossi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always stated it to Zach. To be fair, Alex, we could have to say, like you said, Brad Pitt, we put him in an F1 car. Well, he has a whole month to learn.
Yeah.
Right? So I was always like, Zach, I want a car to win.
Do you want a press car or do you want a car that can
which is fine. I just needed to understand. But me, in this position, I do have a little bit, I want to win. The press car, I need to understand how much more press we need. We're McLaren, you're Zach.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were you ever on your own list?
No, man. Like, I was so tired of this thing because you make fun of me all the time. Like, I tried to retire since COVID, and yes, those are my own fault. And then the deal with Larson, I was the reserve.
Yeah.
No, I was never
on
my own list.
My number? Did you not know how to get a hold of me?
Well, Tim, you have grown. I think you're still in puberty, so you wouldn't fit in the car anymore.
You did drive last year, technically.
I did drive, and Alex, I'm telling you,
given it up yet.
So that story, I'm going to share. I don't really have a lot of time, but I was on the grid, civilian clothes, like waiting for the national anthem, and my phone ringed. It was Rocket saying, "Is your suit ready?" Because it was going to ring. I didn't get in the car by 15 minutes. And I have to say, if I've ever, like, it's uncomfortable, as you know this, it's uncomfortable every start of 500, no matter how many you do.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to say, it's worse as you go. The more you do it, I remember the year that you won,
like, going down. Yeah.
I won. So anyway, that was the most frightening. I started it to panic. I'm not joking. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I went to bed. I was not ready. Yeah. And no matter what I said to myself, once I had gotten that car, I was going to go for it regardless. So, yeah, never on my list.
No.
Nope.
Okay. No. All right. So the TK last lap has actually happened. It is done.
Hey, again, they sent me to the simulator last week, so it's never going to really done. My point is, I have a boss. If I can control my own destiny, yes. But if I get threatened by my job, I mean, I drove. It wasn't that bad last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2035 Indy 500 champion.
I think, hey, Alex, how about this? I think I just should start drinking bourbon, gain a bunch of weight, then they're not going to consider it because I won't fit anymore.
See, Tony, they call that pulling a Tim.
Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, listen, man, thank you very much for your time, especially on short notice. Congratulations on your new role, the success you're having. I'm very happy for you and the friends that I still have there, and enjoy the off season. What you can get, and hi to the family, and thank you again for coming on.
No, well, thanks for having me. Now I'm going to put it in my calendar. That I've been here, so I can count the days to come back
next November.
And I echo what you said. If we can win, that I always, I hope you can. But
appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at The Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.